the woman is the closest to that of divinity. In fact, the woman is the divine. Hey everyone, good morning, and I welcome you all to another episode of Arrietty in Totoro Restaurant. And in this one, without waiting any further, I would just get to the point. Let's start with, what is a god? Now, this is the question I'd like to ask you before I start going further or speaking anything. Tell me in the comments, what is your definition of a god? Is it someone all-powerful, all-knowing, all-righteous creator of the entire universe, a separate entity who is the supreme knower and lives up in some abode of its own? Or is it something or someone that is in everyone you see or come across? The flower on the garden, the rock on the road, the bug on the wall, or even yourself? Or is it a concept that is man-made to rule and govern the people, or does it not exist at all? Now, I'm pretty sure I must have offended some people already, the extremely religious ones, without even starting the video, because I dared to call your deity an it. How can someone, anyone, call your God an it, right? She must be revered, she must be hailed, she must not be reasoned or argued against, right? Wait, does it still not quite fit? Something felt off to you, didn't it? Oh, did I use the wrong pronoun? Or did I use the correct one, but it somehow felt wrong to you? Anyway, whether God is real or not is a debate for another day. But if you do believe in God, let us discuss certain qualities that should pertain to said God's image and see if the problem he does any justice to God's image. So I'll list the qualities one by one and also give you a comparison list side by side of a man and woman with regards to that quality. Number one, let's start with the most pivotal prerequisite to be considered a god. Create and give life. Women give birth. It is a known fact. We bring life into this world at any point in pregnancy, more so in the first and second trimesters. It is highly unlikely for the fetus to survive if the mother dies. No womb means no life. During the entire pregnancy, if the father dies, it doesn't affect the baby's survival, except if the mother goes into depression, and even then a fetus is more likely to have a normal birth with or without the father. So no father, doesn't fucking matter. No mother, baby does not exist at all. While we're on this topic, let me ask Christians, do you really think that the woman comes out of like a man's rib, or is it more likely scientifically, as you keep seeing all around you, that a man can come out of a woman's vagina because he was like incubated in the womb, right? I mean, I have never seen a man's ribs give birth to humans. I don't know about you. So, if there is an all-powerful creator or life force giver represented through nature, it is anyone who can give birth, whereas a man's contribution, negligible. He just gives the sperm, that's it. Nothing more. He could die and the fetus will still be delivered amazingly. Second, if a god has created this entire universe so beautifully, I'm sure she must have ensured numerous ways to express herself through nature. Because humans are humble mammals in comparison to the grandeur nature that allows for our existence. Nature can exist without humans. Humans cannot exist without nature. Nature came before any human on this planet. Study evolution if you think otherwise. And how do we see nature in ourselves? The veins in your body synonymous to that of lightning, your eyes to that of galaxies, your skin to that of trees themselves, and the 70% water in your body being an accumulation of all water that's ever been there on earth. In fact, it has been finally proved through science itself that humans are made of stardust. Our DNA has been through several supernovas. Now, after seeing how nature and God expresses herself through these various patterns, do you know what else she expresses herself through? And something that only females go through and not males? The menstrual cycle. Spring arrives in follicular, summer through ovulation, autumn in luteal, and winter represents menstruation. I hated my periods as a teen until I realized how blessed I am to represent the very mother, the very essence of godly expression. Imagine encompassing the entire natural cycle of seasons through your body. We are basically a natural biological clock. If that is not divine, I don't know what else is. And this is in no way to demean or to bring down anybody who does not get their periods or struggles with their periods, but it is rather to let girls who have their periods, just to let them know that your period has never been a sin. It has never been bad, like a lot of you must have heard growing up. It is indeed sacred and divine, so just cherish it, change your perspective, because this is the truth. Your period is a good thing. Number 3, interconnecting the previous 2 points, let me reiterate something. Just like how our entire nutrition comes from nature herself, our water, all liquids and solids, all food, how we wouldn't survive without nature, same way a fetus wouldn't survive without its shelter, which is the womb. And the nutrition of the first 6 months, that is breastfeeding. Can you imagine what a miracle it is to actually have a new life's entire food sources inside your body? Like this body hosts the food required for a new life. Number 4, inherent knowing the creation as your own. So, inherent knowing of the creation, where it basically came from. If there were one true God, like many claim, don't you think the God herself will make her presence known and connection to its creations known? A woman will always know who her baby is because she birthed the baby. Meanwhile, a man may or may not know. Even when separated, a baby can recognize its mother's scent and embrace her right from birth due to the comfort of the amniotic fluid. But it takes gradual building of closeness for the father to have that connection with his baby. In fact, if you put a mother's, the actual mother's breast milk and another woman's breast milk side by side, a baby will always recognize and deviate towards the breast milk of its own original mother. Number 5, God has to be stronger, superior than others, someone all-powerful, right? Let me tell you 2 biological strengths in females that males lack. Let's talk about chromosomes. Sex is determined by X or Y at conception. However, phenotypically, we are female. Around the 6th to 7th week, a gene on the Y chromosome, that is called the SRY gene, activates, initiating the development of testes. These testes then produce testosterone, which leads to the development of male reproductive organs and external genitalia. So not only do we all start as females metaphorically, the X chromosome has literally a more diverse gene pool and a much better chance of survival due to the genes and its larger size than the Y chromosome, and females have a backup copy of it with 2XX. Second, human females have a significantly higher total number of cells, neurons and glial cells in the spinal cord, and just an overall higher neuronal count than males, a better immune system and a better survival rate. Number 6, God has to have emotional intelligence, right? Well, I don't even think this needs elaboration, but since we're covering it, so time and time again, we've seen how women are far higher in terms of both emotional intelligence and expression than men. In extreme cases, a woman doesn't like another woman, she'll bully the other girl and maybe, just maybe, murder her. Very rare though. Men, well, guess who didn't get into art school and started an entire genocide? Guess which sex has always started wars historically over some petty feud that could have been solved over a damn tea or coffee? Guess who, after getting rejected or cheated on by their first love, makes the rejection or betrayal their entire personality and even uses it to justify crime against every other woman? Doesn't make sense, right? Guess which countries are involved in war now, or funding wars, or just rank low on happiness index, and which score high? For every person unhappy in America due to gun violence now, every woman basically a roaming dead body in Afghanistan. And might I as well mention the dreadful condition of Gaza? There is a happy soul just frolicking through the woods in Finland, Norway, Denmark. It is because the women not only lead or have a better representation, but because it is only with the women's happiness that a country will truly prosper. Time and time again, a lot of leaders have always talked about that for a nation to progress, the women need to be educated and the women need to be happy. I don't even know why we still live in a time where we have to fight for the basic bare minimum rights of women. Number 7, patriarchy and misogyny kills people. And it kills both sides, men and women. Matriarchy, however, uplifts a society, takes into account every single person's being, and misandry, although bad, does not kill. Much less, at least. I mean, I haven't yet heard of misandry particularly killing someone. Like, I have actually, like, you can actually mention cases if you have any, because what we see that when a woman kills, like, let's say her husband, the cases are almost always because she was abused or that the husband demanded dowry. She got mad, like, yeah, definitely. That is like an extreme reaction. I don't think one should get killed. But you see what I'm trying to say, right? We already have like barely any matriarchal society, to be honest. And yeah, like if you just look at the stats, you'll know yourself. And then yeah, so when you search, you'll also see for yourself that males have always been much more violent and committing aggressive crimes than females, like murders, rapes, and whatnot. And let me just tell you about the Khasi tribe in Meghalaya. Search it up. But even the Khasis are not matriarchal, they're more like matrilineal. But the Mosuo people, an ethnic group in China, in Yunnan and Sichuan provinces, is widely matriarchal and has a negligible crime rate, a strong sense of social peace, and lack of conflict and domestic violence seen in patriarchal societies. I'm sure you've been a victim of patriarchy too at least some point in time. And as for misandry, if it indeed killed, we'd already be having revolts and uprisings against the men and a male equivalent of a witch hunt. But oh no, what we instead have is just a bunch of women advising how to rob men of their money or ask for alimony that they rightfully deserve after serving an evil person without ever getting paid. Number 8. A god must protect all, never creating something that goes against protection and ends up destroying instead. Let's talk about the Manhattan Project. The nuclear bomb wasn't a symbol of progress. It was proof of how men, when handed power, they act like tantrum-throwing toddlers with toys too dangerous for their own hands. Out of fear, ego, and cowardice, they built the deadliest weapon humanity has ever seen, not to protect life, but to flex in front of other men and threaten anyone who went against them. Time and again, male leadership has chosen destruction over dialogue, violence over vision. It's not strength, it's fragility dressed up as authority, and the world pays the price for their insecurities. Meanwhile, when women lead, the story looks completely different. Again, mentioning the Mosuo people of China prove it, a society built on female authority, free from the obsession with dominance that fuels wars. They thrive in harmony without men constantly swinging their fragile egos around like weapons. Imagine if the world was governed by women instead of men. No mushroom clouds, no trillion-dollar war machines, no endless cycle of boys and their bombs. Instead, we'd see empathy, sustainability, and actual progress, not humanity held hostage by male fragility. I don't know about you, but if my God were to be someone who would threaten to kill at an instance of opposition, like any instance of opposition, and use fear to control and make everyone obey to him, I would much rather not have a God. That is rather a cosmic joke, not a God. Number 9. A god must not harm the bodily autonomy of any body she has created. She will want equal rights for everyone and would want all her children to live happily based on their own achievements and merit. A lot of men not only rape their wives every night, they also rape infants, monster lizards, animals, and anything that has a hole. They also feel they are entitled to comment on a body that is not theirs. Most women, even suffering so much every single day, refrain from commenting on men's matters, like if they should be allowed to vote or to not choose to have a child. Because for the mother archetype, for an actual god, it is quite incomprehensible to even question the concept of choice and happiness, because she wants justice for all. She will support abortion. The man, however, will say things like, children are a blessing, and then have his hypothetical 10-year-old daughter carry a rapist fetus to term. Pro-life only till it's in the womb. Number 10. A god shouldn't let his incompetency wreak havoc on the planet. A woman felt incompetent, she isolated from society, did self-work, improved herself, and came back stronger. A man felt incompetent. He created religion and called God a he, and indoctrinated millions by voice or by massacres. A woman felt threatened, she would voice out her opinions. A man felt threatened, he would carry out an entire witch hunt. Number 11. A god should take accountability and reflect on his own shortcomings when he has some, instead of gaslighting or blaming his own creations. If God is not perfect, how can their creations be? Statistically, we have much more absent fathers, even for kids they themselves wanted, than we have absent mothers, for kids that they carried after being raped and denied abortion. We have a lot of men blaming women for every single misery in their life when it has always been the other way around. I would like to quote Khaled Hosseini from his book, A Thousand Splendid Suns. Like a compass needle that points north, a man's accusing finger always finds a woman. Number 12, which is the most relevant now. A god will not create genocides and fund them. She will try to arrive at mutual agreements between deities, avoiding the want to bomb anyone. We all know which countries with which leaders, males, are involved in the war. For every poison in this world that calls God a he, there is an antidote in the form of a soul who calls God a she. This soul can be of anyone, male, female, intersex, any race, caste, class, social, gender, or sexual identity. For at the end of the day, whose name do you call when you get hurt? Whom do you wish to go back to? And at the end of a lot of people's lives, you'll see when they are in bed, they would almost always call or think about their mother before anyone. That is if the mother was not abusive, obviously. But in most cases, even between two parents, you'll see a child always choose the mother first. So whom do you go home to? Your mama, right? Ma. The word inherently carrying the essence of the word God. In fact, for the first 6 months of a human baby's life, it cannot even separate the self from others. So naturally, it thinks they are a part of their mother or vice versa. Now, number 13, let's talk about intuition. A god must have a strong sense of intuition in order to prevent calamities, bad experiences, or even save lives, be it their own or others. Women on average have a much higher and developed intuition than men, which we can attribute to both biological and cultural factors. For example, ever since a young age, a woman was always taught to read the room, to even read micro expressions, to just know how everyone around them felt, always put others first. So I think naturally, like it did lead, like evolution wise, it led to the development of a better intuition, but I also think it is something which is inherent in a woman. Like we can talk about the intuition of the womb, which a lot of mothers have during and even after pregnancy. And there have been countless experiences of women who just know on a random night, like they can be doing their makeup and then like it can be any random thing. And she will just know that, hey, I think my partner is cheating. I think my boyfriend or my girlfriend is cheating, like she will just know because the intuition is just so strong. As for a man, he's almost always like, oh my god, the divorce came out of nowhere. I never saw it coming. I just think that saying men are lower on intuition is a polite way of saying that men are dumb. Yes, that is what it is. Number 14, a god does not steal. Let's talk Matilda effect. Jocelyn Bell Burnell discovered pulsars as a PhD student. The Nobel Prize for that discovery went to her male supervisor, Anthony Hewish. Lise Meitner co-discovered nuclear fission with Otto Hahn in 1938, but Hahn alone received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1944. And I would also like to clarify, because this is regarding, what we're talking about right now is what ultimately led to the creation of the atomic bomb. So I'd just like to clarify that when the US invited her to work on the Manhattan Project, she declined, saying, "I will have nothing to do with the bomb." If only all the people working on the project and the men who started the project had the same common sense that we shouldn't create such disastrous things. Rosalind Franklin's X-ray crystallography data was crucial for Watson and Crick's DNA model. They received the Nobel Prize in 1962. Franklin was barely credited until much later. We can go on, like Wi-Fi and Hedy Lamarr, Marie Curie and radioactivity, and it's not limited to just science. We have literature too. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, now hailed as the first science fiction novel that a lot of men in our day seem to be interested in, it was long rumored to have been written by her husband Percy Bysshe Shelley. Zelda Fitzgerald's diaries and letters were heavily borrowed from F. Scott Fitzgerald for The Great Gatsby, while Sofia Tolstoy not only copied War and Peace by hand dozens of times but also edited and shaped it without recognition. We also have examples of how men stole land from natives to build their great country. Did you guess America? Absolutely right. Their country itself is built on violence through manifest destiny. Search it up what manifest destiny is. There are a lot of videos and information on it. Number 15. A god would never make its believers or followers feel bad about their blessings or qualities she bestowed us with. Men, well, they have always shamed our menstruation, shamed our womb, our desires, our very existence. They have forced us to submit. little fools daring to go against the very divine. I don't even know the amount of repenting karmic lives they will have to live to pay for all the hatred their kind preached. Number 16. A god should not be replaceable. A woman is the closest to it. We can do everything a man can and more. If we freeze sperms, practically speaking, we can last as a civilization much longer than we will if we only freeze eggs, because who the fuck is going to carry them to term as normal babies? Sure, China may be developing the world's first pregnancy robot, but how will it instill a mother's intuition and instinct in it? Beats me. Number 17. God must never be unemployed considering she has to attend to world affairs. Now, I'm sure she will not spend her time checking which woman is covering herself properly and who is not. I'm sure she won't have the time to bother about if a human is wearing shorts or not, unlike a particular religion and their god who thinks showing skin is a sin, who thinks except for the face and hands of a woman, her entire body is a threat. That god must be really scared of a woman's divinity, a rather cowardly god, I must say. Number 18, which is the bonus point. A woman's entire body is erogenous, and yet men fail to give her real orgasms. She has to fake to sympathize with her man. Meanwhile, a man, 2 minutes max and he comes. Not even the vagina is required. One hand or mouth of hers is all it takes. So yeah, these are all the points I had to say or I could come up with, and I think there are a total of 17 points I just spoke, with an additional bonus point, which is 18th. And I would just like to say that I personally do not believe God is any sex, gender, class, caste, etc. I just think that God is timeless, it is energy. I think it's the universe experiencing itself. But if I had a choice to call God either a he or a she, well, I wouldn't dare to shame God by calling her a he. You see, it is not that God created man first and then created woman as an apology. No, it doesn't sound poetic. It doesn't sound even romantic, like how a lot of Christian girls seem to make it so, oh, I came from a man's ribs. No, you didn't. Your man came from your vagina. God created woman. The women had a beautiful reign with each other. They got bored once, and God gave us males, which by far has been proven to be nature's biggest abomination till date, and a mistake it's paying with ongoing wars, hate crimes, violence, rapes, to name just a few. Now, as an apology, the Y chromosome is finally declining. It has been shrinking for ages now. This is the actual apology of God towards humanity, where the Y wouldn't exist eventually. Nature will take its course. We all don't even need to do anything, quite frankly. I hope I get to reincarnate in that glorious timeline. So, with evidence from thousands and thousands of years, we know that calling God a he is a direct insult and opposition to the concept. It is an eternal shame and failure on behalf of the entire human race to even think that the concept of God should be as incompetent, imbecile, and vile like that of your average man. Only a woman can do justice to representing the truest essence of the word: life giver, life caretaker, nurturer, empathetic, advisor, educator, protector, provider, beautiful and pleasing, actually good at giving sexual pleasure too, and everything in between. The woman is the closest to that of divinity. In fact, the woman is the divine. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and please comment down any points that I may have missed in showing how the woman is the closest concept to that of a god. Bye bye, take care.